Hey, how's it going, peaceful people? This is Jam at Peaceful Media, otherwise known as Peaceful Jam. And welcome to this little double click segment we did with one of our podcast guests on the Marketing for What Matters podcast. His name is Jimmy Farris, and he's one of my dear friends and fellow teammates back when we were playing college football together. Before he went on to become a successful NFL player and Super Bowl champ, as well as a bona fide star in the leadership coaching and speaking and executive coaching in general space. And we've woven across paths many times, given him a little bit of insight on how to build a thought leadership brand, because that's basically what Peaceful Media has built its empire upon, is taking a personal name brand and the intellectual property that they have inside of them and turning that into more income, more influence, and more impact in the world. We're going to jump right into midstream of a conversation. So it's kind of chunked out or cut out of the main episode of Marketing for What Matters, number 18. I'm going to point to it up here. Hopefully we get a card here that you can click through and go and check out the full episode if you feel like you're missing some important context. We jump right into what Peaceful Media does, essentially, and why we do it and how we create that income, impact, and influence in the world, in the digital space in particular, especially for thought leaders. So you're going to immediately be kind of pulled into a conversation about, hey, here's who we serve and here's how we get the job done for our clients so that they keep coming back and working with us over and over and over again to get results. So I hope you'll find some value in looking around and basically asking the questions of, hey, Jimmy, what is your goal? What do you want to accomplish here? And what's missing? What are the big gaps in your business plan right now or your business activity that are preventing you from becoming a more successful brand, more successful, more prolific speaker, more prolific coach? Increase your impact. So this episode will land inside of our Elevate Your Brand, although it could be inside of the Automate Your Revenue. This really is, we really found some important gaps in the structure of his business that we're going to go out and we're going to set out to address here at Peaceful Media. So I hope you enjoy this. Hope you get some value. And if you like this show or you like these double click segments, be sure to subscribe and we'll see you on the other side. Until I see you there, remember to love more, play more, and do more good. I'm Jam at Peaceful Media. Let's get into it. All right. So, we're in the context of growth marketing, build brands for a brighter future, work with a ton of phenomenal human beings who are using what they know to uplift humanity, heal the planet. And the prosperity plan is got a little I on the end, Jimmy. And that's because we want you to have more influence, impact, and income.
I love that.
And so here's our beautiful little Venn diagram with your boy, Brendan, who came to us, seeking to elevate his brand, which is the first pillar of our services. Elevate your brand, elevate my brand, guys, so that I can be Oprah ready. That was his mandate. I don't really care what colors you use. I don't care so much about the typography you use. I just want to look at the site, look at my branding, and know that I'm Oprah ready. And sure enough, within a couple of years, he's over there at Harpo Productions, consulting the uppers, including Oprah. And so elevate your brand, automate your revenue, expand your engagement. In the middle is one of two words: freedom or legacy. And typically they're totally intertwined. At the beginning of one's career in this space, you're seeking freedom from the things that are not your zone of genius, the things that are dragging you down or just slowing you down. For Brendan, it was freedom because he was the one coding his own website from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m., as you know well, right? And as you know really, really well.
Hey, that program you had was phenomenal, bro. Like, I know that's not what we're here to talk, but man, like what did you call that? Something blueprint?
Launch 31.
Yeah, dude. So good. So good. Just an aside. Like I always like to tell you that. It was so fantastic. It was great.
Thanks,
very
man.
helpful.
So I want just to add a little bit of context for those of you who aren't familiar. I was tired of not being able to serve someone who didn't have, thousands of dollars to work with Peaceful Media. And so I created a DIY website branding and marketing course, for the $500 or $600, where someone could go as if I was looking over your shoulder as you build your website, step by freaking step from start to finish. And Jimmy went through it, and having no knowledge of building websites, really no platform, just working his way through it. And I think you got it about a week into that 31-day blueprint, and you're like, bro, listen, man, this is bullshit. I don't want to be building my own website. Ultimately, I want to hire somebody to do this stuff. And I was like, that's awesome, man. It's totally your prerogative. I'm just telling you that it's been a big advantage for Brendan Burchard to be able to do his own stuff, because when he's in the middle of a product launch and he needs to tweak that sales page headline or the offer, he goes in, bang, does it. And you weren't ready to hear that, and
nope.
and said, that's cool for Brendan. I'm not Brendan. Peace.
And here's the second half of that story. So I don't know, maybe a month later, I think maybe you had forgotten that you still had I had access to it. And
there's no forgetting. It's just like Jimmy's gone, and that was a good try.
Yeah. And so what I did was just, for you, what I did was I went back in kind of with a different mindset, different perspective. And I just started doing it just step by step. And remember, I built a web page, and then I called you and I was like, hey dude, I got something to show you. I used the program to do this. And
it was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was great. And I think, if I can just say to you, that was a thing for me where I really remember looking at my friend and saying, like, this guy's really good at what he does. Like, I saw your genius in what you do, because I just used that and I was just like, this is really good. Like, he's really good at what he does. And that was a cool moment for me, because not because I'd built the website, but just because I was like, dude, I love seeing my friends operate in their zone of genius, and you're definitely in it with this stuff, because it was fantastic. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yes.
It touches my heart. It was. I remember just being super proud of you for the resiliency, all the growth mindset stuff that you talk about. You circled back around a month later, and voila, you had a website.
I had to.
It's really, really cool.
I had to.
Okay, so elevate your brand. Then we move into automate your revenue, which is basically how are we making money from what you know while you're sleeping, or while you're traveling, or while you're flying your plane, or while you're doing Christmas with your kids, right? Or your family. And then ultimately, to increase that influence and income, we need to expand your engagement, which is the content production, the social media channel management, and the email marketing pieces. I didn't go through each of the sub pillar services, but I think you can see them fairly readily: digital commerce, sales funnel, paid traffic, search reputation, web design, brand identity. So tell me a little bit about where your platform's at right now. When I say platform, I mean, what are the main streams of income you have coming in, and how are you out there marketing right now? And just kind of give me a taste of what your current business is.
So
is like
my I guess I would call it two streams of income are the coaching and speaking, and that's it. And that's by design. I do zero marketing by design. I have done very, very little brand building, brand awareness. And the reason for that is kind of one of the things we talked about when we were on the phone earlier. I don't have any desire in my business to be a public figure. Um, there's kind of two markets, in the speaking business. You're either on the public side which is where I would put, somebody like Brendan, where you've got courses for sale to the masses, you're
Mm-hmm.
marketing to the masses, um, big audience. Um, my business has been structured to be on the private corporate side, where the things that I do are typically in-house, behind closed doors, inside corporations. And I like that space a lot. What I'd like to do is incorporate this or grow the speaking aspect of it, so that I'm starting to speak outside of, the kind of the small behind closed door corporate type events, and book in some stages that are, the one-offs, essentially, speaking at different companies, national sales conferences and things like that. That's going to require me to elevate the brand, and expand some of the engagement. And so that's, looking at this is what really resonates with me. I love where my business is at, kind of on that private corporate side with coaching, and
Yeah.
it's just not my lane. I don't have a desire to just try to get clients from anywhere and
Right.
everywhere. I don't, it's just not my space. And so I think that would be, as concise as I can put it, even though it was kind of long winded.
No.
Getting the speaking, the bigger stages from the keynote standpoint is where everything I'm seeing on this screen would really be beneficial.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I have two questions regarding that. First is, when you think about yourself as a speaker, what do you want to be known for? Like when someone goes and searches Google or asks their friend or producer or speaker's agent, "Hey, do you have a person who can speak on this?" What do you want this to be for you?
Yeah. So one of the things I love talking about is overcoming adversity,
Mm-hmm.
because I think
Sure.
because it's
It's a huge topic right now.
it's a huge because it's so universal, but
Yep.
it's so unique to each individual. The adversity, while it may fall under the same umbrella, everybody's having their own experience. And so I love, I incorporate that into, a piece of that into some of the seminars, excuse me, and workshop stuff that I
Mm-hmm.
do. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's something that I really, really enjoy speaking to audiences about, and in one-on-one coaching, because that's where a lot of the big breakthroughs happen. People hit adversity and
Sure.
it rocks people to the core oftentimes. And so kind of taking, some of that athlete mindset of, hey, next play, you got to get up and have another go at it, get back in the saddle, get back on the horse, so to speak. Coaching people through that process so they can get to that next play or get back in the saddle. That's
Yeah.
one of the things that, from a keynoting standpoint, I love that.
Okay. Is there anybody in particular you look out in the marketplace, you're like, that she or he, or they're doing it really well?
Not that particular topic.
Mm-hmm.
When I think about the people that I love hearing them keynote, would be Simon Sinek, I mentioned before.
Mm-hmm.
One of my all-time favorites is John Gordon, because I like John Gordon's content, but not so much from a content standpoint. He is such a master of the craft, and he's so engaging and so entertaining, and you just feel really good. John Gordon, I don't even know if my website, I don't even think it's up. But it's interesting you say that, because I hear a lot of people touch on, overcoming adversity, X, Y, and Z, but not a lot of, nobody that specifically I've said, oh, when you talk about leadership, it's like, oh, Simon Sinek. You want to talk about, some other topic, oh, Brendan Burchard's the guy that talks about that. When it comes to like, overcoming adversity or getting your mojo back or getting back in
Yeah.
momentum, like I don't know who that would be.
Yeah, I don't think anybody has like cornered that market at all. Like, I live and breathe in this space, and I didn't know of anybody who's like, "Yep, that's the person you got to go book."
You're right.
Now, it does look like there's some people, like the Allison Masari. Looks like she's paying to be in that position.
Yeah.
I am the top person, right?
Yeah, she's
And
talking about
so,
it in the context of resilience, and I
yeah,
like that. I don't. But again, what I love
there we
about
go.
this space
Master
is,
adversity.
yeah, I wouldn't call that resilience. I that's not the word that I would use.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I
Well,
like.
doesn't
That's what's interesting is that um, is there's so much room in this space for your own unique perspective, right?
yeah. Yeah. And, the search game being listed number one in the search game is not about what you would call it. It's about what your bookers and producers and, corporations call it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so and that's data driven. We look at, how many people actually search for adversity speakers versus how many people search for resiliency.
100%.
You can see that Allison's doing it right. She's connecting to both.
100%.
Right. So she's clearly set up a campaign that it has a big enough net to catch both of those references. So this is for anybody, Jimmy, I think you already know this, so I'm probably speaking to the choir, but anybody who's listening to this, who's kind of new to this, this is a paid listing. This is, a Google ad search campaign that is geared to catch anybody who's seeking this particular person. Now, we would call this a long tail search. There's 4 words. Someone clearly knows what they want out of this search. This is not a overcoming adversity speech, right? Or overcoming adversity tips or overcoming adversity book. This is someone who's looking to book a speaker because nobody else searches for keynote speaker alongside those 2 words. And so she said, you know what? I don't see anybody out here bidding on those keywords. And they're so long tail that I think I can get away with paying to show up here and get the click right here. Sorry, Allison, that's where she gets charged. Are you familiar with us already, Jimmy?
Yes. I mean,
okay,
on a very surface elementary level. Yeah.
Okay. So that unfortunately just charged her account, right? And depending on how competitive that space is, which clearly it was not, there's only 2 brands bidding there. So if it's a super competitive, you're going to pay, $10, sometimes $20, sometimes $30 per click. So that every click matters. And if it's a less competitive space, then maybe you're in the 2 to 5 to 10.
Interesting.
Right. And then it becomes a numbers game. How many people land right here on this landing page and go, oh, yep, sold. Take me to the promised land, Allison. I believe my company or my audience will achieve overcoming adversity by way of me filling out whatever form you want me to fill out here. And so here you were touching on some services that we do. Go back over here. We have paid traffic. That's the search campaign. Now we have the channel, the sales funnel, right? So once somebody clicks, this landing page needs some work, to be honest, everyone. Allison, if you're watching this,
give us a call.
Unsolicited feedback on this landing page. This is not designed to convert well. This is not designed to make the most of that expensive click, right? If it were, it would not feel like it was somebody took out a sheet of paper or Google Doc and said, here are all of my ideas. And I hope that the visitor to this page who's never heard of me before and just wants to book a speaker is willing to sift through 1,000 different things that don't seem to have any hierarchy or priority on the page. It is just a lot of ideas with no visual continuity or suggestion that this is where you need to go. This is where I want you to focus your attention. So 2 things: search campaign, landing page development, right? So that's at the very top of the funnel. Now, once somebody, ultimately, I don't know if there is a call to action on this page. Allison, we've got to talk. Oh my God. Allison, no, I'm sorry, this is a critical review, but this is really a waste of her money. Or maybe it's not. Maybe there's great return on ad spend and ROI on this campaign. But from the outside looking in, this is a really tough user experience. You're asking your user to be, your visitor who's never heard of you, to be really patient with this page. So that's where I'd start there. If you had something like this, Jimmy, is make sure that you have a search campaign geared towards those long tail search terms. And then secondly, make sure that you have a landing page that's designed and written and formulated to convert that traffic. And then it gets into the third part, which is the sales funnel, which basically follows up, or email marketing, the kind of one and the same in some cases. But it's essentially, once they've filled out your contact form and said, yes, I'm interested in booking you as a speaker, we want to make sure that you have some material going out to them that will help pre-sell that prospect.
Sure.
Right. So we're developing videos, we're developing testimonials from people who booked you to speak, from audiences. We're going and collecting those testimonial videos. We're writing emails that help convey just how amazing you are and how worth it is for someone to book you as a keynote speaker. Does that make sense?
100%. Yeah.
Cool. So if you look at those 3 things I just listed, where do you feel, I clicked on your website in a bit. So where do you feel like?
I don't think it's even like the plugins. I don't know if it'll even come up. Yeah. I mean, I haven't touched my website, or it hasn't been in 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
So it's not even, I think that was built with like WordPress and, so I don't even know, like you can see it. It's the formatting is.
So like this for YouTube, because my browser's been kind of funky
No, that's exactly how it is. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Jimmy,
it's not.
Sorry to put you on the spot here, bro, but when I look at the word pro and where you want to go with the speaking career,
yeah,
I love you, and this is obviously not helping your goals.
Well, no, so and that was right. Kind of the point that I was making. Like I don't utilize a website. I don't use, like, none of my clients.
Right.
Nobody goes looks for me on a web page to book me.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not in that space. And so, this was, I want to say that website was created in 2020 by some people that I don't have contact with anymore. So I don't even know, like, the logins to get into it for, you know what I mean? I wouldn't even know what's wrong with it or what. It's clearly not like formatting the way it was originally, because it originally
it was a nice looking site.
It had a decent, clean look.
Yeah.
But something happened. Something went wrong with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is where you go back to the foundations, right? And this is not a 1 or 2 hour double click segment concept, but you need some brand identity, web design stuff before you even get into search reputation and search campaigns.
Totally.
But yeah, man, I know you have some big goals. So have a think on this and let's reconnect and figure out what that double click segment could be for you. So that, we can raise the bar.
the only thing on that screen that at the moment there's a little resistance to is, and it's silly to say, is the automate your revenue, because
Mm-hmm.
I, like, for some reason, I don't know why I've kind of got the resistance to having something, like a course or some product or something to sell. It's not the space that I want to be in. And maybe I'm missing the boat. Maybe I'm missing a nice little revenue piece by having something out there, you know, um, at a low price point that could drive people my way. But again, I don't. As I sit today,
Yeah.
I
No, let's
I don't
let's
want
right
that.
fit. Let's right fit the solution to what matters to you and where you feel excitement. That goes back to the whole, make sure you're not modeling somebody just because they're successful. We got to
Right.
model them the pieces of their empire that align with your goals, and that's why every strategy has to be customized
Totally.
for you, the individual. No cookie cutter
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. It's interesting
Um,
just looking at that. I mean, what what really pops out to me are
mhm,
those three eyes. Like, I want to increase the influence in this
mhm,
order, because the more influential you are, the greater impact you can have. And the bigger the impact you have, the higher the income. I think it works in that order. Um, and so those things really stand out to me. And like you said, from a search perspective, I would like to have the type of website that a company that's thinking about hiring me for leadership development or performance training with their executives for leadership or the performance for their team, there's a when they search for me, there's a nice, clean, well written,
mhm.
landing page that they can get some info and say, okay, yeah, this
Yeah,
this this looks good. Let's move to step 2 with this guy and engage him about
yeah,
working with us. That's,
yeah,
and
for sure.
from a standpoint of, if my name gets thrown out to a company, hey, you should think about having this guy come in and speak. We had him, he was great. They Google me, they go to the page, and
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
like, oh,
legit.
yeah, this
Okay,
looks
check the
legit.
box, legit.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
when we're just kind of, I'm talking kind of bigger picture here. That's the type of presence online that I'd like to have, strictly for
Perfect.
that purpose, not to sell courses and sell, different stuff. I
Exactly.
just not.
Makes perfect sense, Jimmy. Like based on what I know about you. Yeah, like when you start with your goal was not to become the household name, right? That's not a B2C play. You were not trying to sell a gazillion books with your next piece, right? And so why would you offer a low price, gimmicky product when the corporations don't give a
They
crap
don't.
about a low price gimmicky, like they don't watch courses,
No, they don't. And,
you
and
know?
and sometimes it lowers your value in their eyes.
Yeah, no, totally. Totally. Oh, here's another internet marketing guy,
Exactly.
you know? So I told you I was going to ask you a couple questions,
Yeah.
and so now I'm clear on what you'd like to be positioned as and sort of the gaps there with making sure that you aren't like repelling some easy income coming your way, easy gigs that are just like totally turned off by the sniff test of Google, right? Oh gosh, yeah, not a pro actually, you know.
Yeah.
So my other question is when you get done speaking and you're chatting with the producers and they're giving you, we chatted about this earlier, they're giving you these reviews saying, "Oh my God, did you smoke that?" They are still talking about that a month later. What are they asking you for as a sort of across the year? I want Jimmy Farris's mindset, his blueprint to be here like throughout the year versus these shots in the arm coming up into the stage, getting everybody riled up and some new anecdotes. We want you evergreen as a culture builder here at our corporation.
So currently, I have ongoing engagements with these companies, and one in particular. And
Mm-hmm.
so different groups of their people, two or three groups of, 10 or 15 people per year are hearing me. And so that's how I've kind of stayed evergreen within their culture. Um,
Mm-hmm.
they all get a copy of my book, which is something
Mm-hmm.
that um, they use to do that. But again, that's a piece that, bigger picture, I don't really have. There's not a lot of follow up. There's not a weekly or monthly newsletter type engagement from me that goes out. And those are all pieces that, within the last couple of years, I've said I should be doing that. I should really
Mm-hmm.
have something like that where that part is automated, where they're getting something in their inbox, they're hearing from
Mm-hmm.
me in some context, once a month or once a week.
Right.
So that's definitely a piece that I would like to add.
So I'll share what some of our most prolific speakers do. And I'm not talking about the Brendan Burchards. I'm talking more B2B, which is the space you want to thrive in
Mm-hmm.
right now. Um, they will set up ongoing learning. Now, learning can look a lot of different ways, Jimmy. Like logging into a course may work for one corporation and one brand and be completely antithetical to anything productive for the other corporation or human being, right? But I like this idea of you plugging in on an enterprise grade subscription, right? To a weekly, just like that's that little 5 minute shot in the arm,
Mm-hmm.
and you're so good at these. Like you have so many of these beautiful little anecdotes that and metaphors that you've pulled over from your professional sports career, that I imagine you could come up with 52 of those so that every week that corporation ABC and their employees on a small licensing fee is getting drip fed these weekly premium nuggets
Mm-hmm.
of your blueprint. What do you
Absolutely.
think?
No, it should be there 100%. Um, and it's even more relevant because most of what I'm doing now, for instance, I'll do like a 3-month program with a group.
Mm-hmm.
And when the program ends, many of the participants will say, well, hey, is there anything more? Are we going to hear from you? Are we going to,
Mm-hmm.
is there any follow up to this? And I kind of say, well, we're talking about that. We're kind of trying to put something in place to meet that need or that demand. But so far, there hasn't been anything, any real kind of follow up in that aspect. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's why, again, like I said, for at least the last year, that's been something that's been on my mind. Like, man, I've got to figure out a way to be able to stay engaged with these people.
Yeah. So that's the whole making, that's the passive income stream, right? Is you've done that work once,
Mm-hmm.
you got up and you got paid to speak, and now it's just meeting them where they're at. If they want you in their lives every week of the year, you certainly don't want to be flying or hopping on Zoom calls for the rest of your life.
Right.
But if you created two tiers of this program, where one tier is generic and it's your stuff, you could teach this to anybody, and there's another tier which is the plus, where or premium, or pro, I guess that would make more sense with your
Yeah.
brand, is the pro version, where the fourth week of each month is something that's specific to their corporation, and that you charge top dollar for that.
Yes. Yes.
Like now, yeah, it's a little bit more work, but how hard is it to create 12, custom 3 to 5 minute modules?
Easy.
And then after the first year, it's evergreen.
Yes.
Like assuming it's the kind of company where as long as I'm teaching principles, it's always timely.
Yep. They're always the same.
Yeah.
Yep. No, it's 100%, 100%.
Cool, man. Let's noodle on that offline. But yeah, I don't. I felt that resistance on the automate your revenue, but actually, I think that's the area where I have the most excitement for you.
Because that stays in the space, in the lane where I want to be.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
It's people
Yeah.
that's an automated revenue to people that I've already engaged with, that I have relationships with, that
Mm-hmm.
we've already developed a relationship. And again, those are the people that I want to have that kind of impact with.
And Jimmy, when you have systems like this and all you're doing, okay, so let me paint a picture for when you're licensing your IP to an enterprise, you're essentially assigning a value to each seat. So every corporate email that they give you in their CSV file is another incremental whatever that dollar amount is. Okay, you want to send me 500 emails? Great, it's X dollars per year. You want to send me 500,000 emails because it's a massive corporation? Great, this pricing. And literally, there's no difference for you other than the cost to send an email to upload a 500 person CSV and a 500,000 person CSV.
Yep.
Is completely scalable, and you did no more work, and it's exponentially more money.
You know why this is really relevant is because one of the conversations I've been having in the last 6 months is about scaling. And right now, the way I'm set up, for me to scale, I have to service more Zoom calls. Like, to some degree,
Yeah,
my income with like the leadership development program is capped at how many calls I want to take in a given month, right? Like, I could run 4 or 5 groups and have 50 or 60 Zoom calls to do every other week. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to. I mean,
right.
That's a lot of time, And so,
Yeah.
it's funny you bring that up, because I've thought about, how do I scale this thing other than, raise the price on the next company. So essentially, the hours that I'm trading for dollars, I'm just trading them for more dollars. That's one way. But I'm really at a kind of a sticking point where it's like, do I want to do 100 Zoom calls a month? 50 people, every other week? Not really.
No.
Not really.
So doesn't sound like freedom.
No. So, if there's a way, and I know, I'm familiar with ways to do that in terms of like a subscription type thing where you're getting on a one-time thing. It's a call, or what you do, a call once a week or whatever. And whether you got 100 people or 10,000, it's still an hour of your time. That's always been an attractive model to me. I just haven't known where I could incorporate that into what I'm doing. So these are all things, that we need to talk about, because I think I know there's so many things that I'm leaving untouched and untapped. And so we just got to figure out which ones really fit with what I'm trying to accomplish. And I think there's some good stuff in here for sure.
I'm going to leave you with this image. So it used to be said that like the book is your business card.
Yeah.
Right. That's really what it is. And for speakers, it's usually like enough of a credibility tilter to, get you on stages that you might not normally get onto. Authoring a book is hard, and it cuts. There's some cream that rises to the top if you've written a book. You know that. Well, in my opinion, from what I've seen, is speaking is also just a business card, and it just so happens you get paid. It can be a very lucrative business card handoff, but ultimately, it's not where it's a dead end. Like your revenue is going to be capped by the number of miles you're willing to travel and the number of hours you're willing to be on virtual speaking
Yep.
calls or whatever it is. And so it's great. It gets this career, this platform kickstarted. You are a bona fide, badass thought leader doing his thing. And now it's time to pull that strategic bus over to the side of the road and say, all right, what's that next mountain? And how do I do that in a way where my joy and my passion and my time freedom and my legacy gets all elevated without more sacrifice of my precious time.
Yes.
So we'll leave that there and pick that conversation up. We'll circle back around and try to set up some sort of double click. I'm not sure exactly what we'll be able to accomplish with the double click segment, but maybe that's something we come back to down in the series.
100%.
And we'll put, I guess, typically we already know what that is, and we put a little note in the top of this podcast episode's YouTube channel. But I think check the show notes. We'll update when we have that segment ready for you guys.